Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. President Trump recently said that with the grace of God, America will win the war against the coronavirus. Now, I take issue with the statement, and I take more issue with him making the statement. We don't need religious platitudes. We need true leadership in this time of crisis. Now, before I get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. During this time of him making this statement with the grace of God, right? And what did that mean anyway, with the grace of God, right? We don't need religious platitudes. We need leaderships. And what's, to me, offensive about the statement is that when he makes it in the context in which he makes it, it's meaningless. Currently, America is number one in most infected cases of coronavirus in the world. We have climbed to the number one spot. And ever since we've climbed to the number one spot, we have been in the number one spot. So what we're winning is, in reality, we're not winning, we're losing the war. Now, misunderstand me, I'm not being fatalistic. I do believe we're going to win the war. We're going to win the war because science, for example, and other medical technologies, sure, I believe they're going to come up with a virus. They're going to come up with, a cure. The problem is when. And what will be the effect, the carnage, the danger, the output of this? In other words, how much damage will be done between now until they come up with a cure? So when I see this statement right here, with the grace of God, and let me be clear, I'm a Christian. I'm an evangelical Christian. You can even say I'm a conservative evangelical Christian. I just don't attach myself to one group because I believe that the evangelical conservative movement that have attached itself to Donald Trump has abandoned all of their values to support this man. And I not only am offended by it, but I'm highly disappointed in it. But if you want to categorize me, I am a evangelical conservative Christian. Okay, I'm a Bible-believing Christian. But for that matter, then we go back to what does it mean by the grace of God? And when you make a statement like that, by the grace of God, when we're currently number one, losing the war, as I said, I believe we are going to win it. The problem, of course, is we don't need religious platitudes for this. What we need is true leadership. So we need a president who will lead this country in the best interest of this country. Now, consider this. South Korea reported its first case of coronavirus the same day as America. So why do they have better results? You see, they could say, by the grace of God, we're winning the war. Well, we're not winning the war. We're increasing in infected cases daily. We're growing. That's right, we're growing. So when you make a statement like that, to me, you do more damage than to the name of God, because again, what does it mean? If you say by the grace of God, what is God doing? That's what you open yourself up for. In other words, currently, you got to ask the question, by this statement, what is God doing? Because we're losing the war. And especially when other nations are winning. South Korea made good decisions at the time that the virus hit their shores, their land, okay? One of the greatest things that they did was they aggressively test. They don't even have the travel restrictions that we have. In other words, the travel restrictions, which is good for our case because of the lack of leadership, at the very least could stop the spread or certainly slow it down. So until we get better leadership decisions, we need to do that. But that comes at a cost, right? The fact of restricting our travel and our movements, okay, good from the standpoint of the virus is not spreading. It's bad because it's going to what? Kill the economy. But that comes to bad leadership problems. Now, think about this. South Korea, okay, they aggressively test, and that's why they're winning. There are other nations who have kind of slowed the spread of the virus. China might have slowed the spread of the virus. The problem is we just don't know the numbers coming out of China, and then we don't know if we can trust them. But this going back to the statement then, by the grace of God, no, it's not a matter of the grace of God in this respect. It's a matter of leadership. Think about this. You had the Governor Brian Kemp of Georgia made this statement a couple of days ago. We just found out that this disease can spread like it spread. Dude actually made a statement like this. The governor of Georgia, where the CDC is headquarters, down the street from his office, claimed he just found out. The governor of Florida said the reason why, and he got criticized because he just now finally issued stay-at-home orders, right? He said, well, the reason why we did that because we were waiting on the president. Dude, you're the leader of your state. Why didn't you look out for the best interests of your state, for your people? The problem with his decision was that he allowed thousands of spring breakers to congregate on beaches. Not only spring breakers, but just people in general. How many of those people were infected? Here's the other thing. They have since left Florida, right, and possibly taken the virus back to their towns and their states. In other words, he's one of the direct cause of spreading the virus. This is amazing. Governor of Mississippi confused his state with the lack of leadership in terms of aggressively trying to slow down this virus. Now, the result, let me pull up a chart quite quick because this shows you how, all of these decisions, New York, of course, being the number one hit state, 130, cases. New Jersey, 37,000. Interesting enough that as this chart is reporting, it's right here, there are no new cases in New York. But here are the states that have the most cases of coronavirus. New York, New Jersey, Michigan, California. By the way, California is the most populated state with only 15,000 cases. Now that's interesting since they're the most populated state. Now think about that for a moment in terms of leadership. Florida, right, when he said he was waiting on Trump, 13,000 total cases. Okay. Louisiana, they're getting hit hard. Massachusetts, they're getting hit hard. Pennsylvania, Illinois, Washington State, which was ground zero, by the way. Okay. Georgia, 7,000 cases. Remember, he just now found out. Texas, 7,000. And then we can go on. The point is, here's the point, y'all. We don't need religious platitudes, okay? We need leaderships. And if we have proper leadership, okay, and leadership matters. Let me close out with this one verse of scripture right here. I'm going to read you this and just show you what bad leadership can be. This scripture comes from 1 Samuel chapter 8. And the reason why I'm going to read this because notice he says right here, with the grace of God, America, will win the war. Well, let's see. Had a lot of people. Okay. Look at verse 10. This is when the people asked the prophet Samuel for a king. He was kind of disappointed in that, and God says, "Give him a king." He said, "They're not rejecting you; they're rejecting me." But he said, "But I want you to tell the people what kind of leader, what kind of kings they're going to have." Verse 10. So Samuel told the Lord's words to the people who were asking him for a king, and he said, "These are the rights of the king who will rule over you. He will take your sons and put them to his use in his chariots, on his horses, running in front of his chariots," meaning war, right? He can appoint them for his use as commanders of thousands, commanders of fifties, to plow his ground, to reap his harvest, or to make his weapons of war, or equipment for his chariots. He can take your daughters to become perfumers, cooks, bakers. He can take your beasts of the fields, vineyards, and olive orchards, and give them to his servants. Notice he can take them as king. You can take a tenth of your grain and of your vineyards to give them to his officials and servants. He can take your male servants and female servants, your best young men and your donkeys, and use them for his work. He can take your tenth of your flocks and of yourselves and become his servants. And when that day comes, you will cry out because of the king you have chosen for yourself. But the Lord won't answer you in that day. Think about that statement, you all, that God says, look, you're going to choose a servant for yourself. And notice this. This is what he's going to do. He can really make your life bad. Leadership matters. Leadership matters. And one of the things that we have, of course, in our country is that we can vote. Okay, guys, that's my perspective. So as always, like and share this video and subscribe to BP, The Bible Perspective. Add a thought, a comment if you wish. Till next time, I'll see you then.